Hello, Jonas.
Hi, Katarina.
Thank you for finding some time to share with me some of the main aspects of co-creation in companies as a process. Actually, I was reading your article where you are a co-author on Harvard Business Review about that, and I immediately thought of also asking some further information from you in person. That would be a good idea, I thought. So thank you for sharing the same opinion about that. I would start with the question of, let's say, going to the core of co-creation. So what exactly is co-creation?
Yes, so the way we like to talk about it's a process that companies conduct amongst each other. So it's a sort of collaborative innovation. You bring together companies that have a sort of relationship with each other. It could be a customer and a supplier, or it could be partners on the same stage of the value chain that get together, define a challenge, and collaborate on solving it. Usually the outcome is a product, a service, a combination, a solution. The main point, however, is that it's co-created, it's created by all of the participants.
I see. Can we mention some of the main benefits? So why could we say that it is important for companies to also think about integrating such processes when they want to develop services, products, and so on?
Yes, so I think the most obvious benefit is you just get rid of the risk of innovation. If you work together with your customer, for instance, as a supplier, and you co-develop a solution, then you know already that what you're developing is desired and needed by the customer, because the customer has been part of the process of development. Another benefit is, of course, you get rid of a lot of business development, marketing efforts. So if you again work together with the customer or somebody who has a deep insight into the market, into the end customer, partner company, you are already one stage ahead in the value chain. So the solution you've been co-creating is known, is accurate to what is needed in the market. So there's not such a need anymore to market it and to sell it in the end. A third benefit, and I think that it's maybe the biggest, is you develop deep trust amongst the participants, because in order for it to be successful, you really have to open up. You have to create a space in which ideas can be created, exchanged, not protected by IP regulation, but where you really are open, you develop deep relationships with your counterpart, deep trust, and these are usually benefits that remain over a long amount of time.
Very interesting. Can you please share some specific examples? Maybe there is a company that you served recently.
Yeah, actually, it's not so recently. You referred to the article, but I would still pick up that case.
Okay.
Because it's one we've published, and so the participants are comfortable in getting mentioned. So the two companies who worked with were BASF, the leading chemical company, and Daimler, the very well-known premium automotive manufacturer. So the two companies came together to develop what they call the bus of the future. So essentially a self-driving bus that had all sorts of features, new materials, new drivetrain, new battery solutions, you name it. And it was interesting in a way because the companies, of course, speak very, very different languages. One is a very science-driven chemical company, the other one is a more engineering-driven automotive manufacturer. And to define challenges that are relevant for both, we needed not just to look into the obvious market challenges, but you really had to translate the two languages. So one is looking into materials, the other one is looking into weight. One is looking into end user comfort. The other one is always thinking about problems on a molecular basis. So defining challenge statements has been the key to make this collaboration successful at the end. Then we defined a team that had very strong network in both organizations to identify the right people. Once we identified them, we planned a workshop where we invited about 30 to 35 engineers, chemists, salespeople from both organizations. We
quite a big number.
Very big number, yeah. So we split them up into three areas. One was drivetrain, one was the chassis. So to have people with a specific expertise put together, and then designed the core challenges where they would co-create on. And at the end, we reached a number of dozens of innovative ideas that came out of the workshop. So this was a very, very interesting and successful example. I think why it's worth mentioning it is it has really been a process. It really took time and effort to translate to languages, to define accurate challenge statements. But once the process was started, it was essentially feeding itself. So it was just.
How long did it take, by the way?
So the process took about 8 months. I would split it like this. So the good preparation phase takes around 3 to 4 months. The more complex the organization, the longer it takes, because identifying problem statements, identifying the right people to work on it, inviting them, getting the logistics in order, setting up the workshop, finding time in everybody's agenda takes time. Then
right.
We have around 2 days of workshop, typically. Mostly 3, but after 2, people are usually very exhausted. And then I suggest that the team stays in place for another 4 months to process the ideas that come out of the workshop, allocate teams to develop them further, and has regular update meetings to see where they stand, if something has to be discontinued or something needs to be handed over to certain business unit or new business.
So you keep in touch, I can imagine, with the client to see and check if everything is going okay and so on. So there is also kind of a follow-up, right?
Yes, indeed. But usually you have a team that is responsible for the whole process. That is a joint team from our side and from all the participating companies. They should always have at least one representative in our team. And that team stays in place at least 8 months.
I see. I have a final question for you, and that regards the obstacles. So maybe there are some challenges, some difficulties that you've been encountering. What happens exactly? How do you overcome these obstacles? And I was also wondering if that could be also the case when there are 2 companies that are based into different countries, for example. So what are some of the barriers that you've seen that you need to take into consideration?
So the country topic is always a little bit challenging, but not too much. Usually we work with multinational clients. So if there are language barriers, you try to have an interpreter. That, of course, it can limit the dynamic a little bit. Also, to find the location, it's a little bit more challenging, but in the end, it can all be solved for. The main challenges that we face in our years of experience is First of all, a lot of companies, when they think about co-creation, they think mainly about the main event, so the 2 days out of the 8 months. They focus mostly on catering and entertainment and hotel stays and these sort of things. But once the people show up, they don't get it started. They don't get the creative energy started, and it's an event. It's a sales event. It's not really co-creation. This is a very, very common challenge. And the second thing is also the way of developing ideas. So if you co-create innovations, you need to realize them. Otherwise, you will lead to
parties maybe also don't feel very much involved. So engagement, I think that is always a challenge. So how to, because probably it's the top management that has decided about this process. But the point is, how do you also involve, engage, and make sure that people are 100% not only physically with you, but also mentally, and all their creativity is there. So how do you tackle that?
So the secret is to have a timeline after the workshop. That on a timeline you have different projects and outcomes that come to fruition. So you don't just focus on the in 10 years groundbreaking disruptive innovation. You also have low-hanging fruits that maybe in the weeks and months after the workshop already come to realization. So as an example, I can work on a very new catalyst technology or battery technology that might take me 3 years. At the same time, I do some quick wins selling some of the existing products that I already have in my portfolio to my customer, just maybe in a new way, in a new application, in a new product. So to really structure a timeline from low-hanging fruits to long-term disruptive innovations, that's what keeps people engaged. If you think about a sales manager who participates in a workshop, his or her incentive is, of course, is always I want to make a sale. I want to
right.
Numbers. That has to be considered. As has to be considered the R&D manager, the innovation manager, who wants to really come up with something disruptive in the long term.
So you're saying that every department should see a real value, so that to give
exactly.
To give also their contribution.
To have a very high energy workshop, even if it's successful, but then afterwards people go back to their jobs and everything
back to routine.
In 2 weeks. They have great ideas, but nobody can even decipher the handwriting.
I see.
And it all gets lost, and you really have to document it where you have to put it on a timeline. You have to have teams allocated to realization, and the realization should not just come in 10 years, but should ideally start right after the workshop.
Clear. Well, Jonas, thank you very much for sharing all these insights, and hopefully we'll see each other soon in Milan. Bye-bye. Have a nice day.
You too.